in like high school, middle school, I was like flipping candy, like chips. I'm selling half my lunch to people. So I've always been into like making a lot of money. During my senior year of my college year, I took a class on Google Ads and they partnered us with like a nonprofit and they gave us $10,000 a month to run ads for them. Like after like a month or two of running it, it was like a project. We got the nonprofit like $5,000 in donation. I was like, this could easily scale something. Like I'm gonna get experience in learning ads, and then eventually I'm gonna use that to scale and grow my own agency eventually.
What has your best month been to date?
It was probably last month. We were closing 1 to 2 clients almost every week. But now that we have a footing, we know we bring good results. We've been charging our clients like $1,500 a month. That has been our best month to grow like to where we are currently at around 12K right now. Compared to my corporate job, I feel more fulfilled doing it than working for a corporate and just getting like a paycheck every week.
Carl, thanks very much for hopping on and doing an interview today. How you been? How's things your end?
Been good. Been super busy, but we're growing, we're scaling, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, you've been crazy busy with service delivery, but we'll get into all of that good stuff very, very soon. So yeah, like the first question I like to ask in these case study kind of student interviews is give the viewer a bit of a background on your story and kind of your journey with entrepreneurship. And, have you sort of always been entrepreneurial on your journey right up until SMMA?
Yeah, pretty much I've always been entrepreneurial since growing up. I've always been in like high school, middle school, I was like flipping candy, like chips. I'll be selling it to them, selling half my lunch to people. So I've always been into like making a lot of money. And then in college, I got into Amazon FBA. One of my friends got me into that. Then I started getting into trading. I was just thinking of different ways to do it. But then during my senior year of my college year, I took a class on Google Ads, running Google Ads, Facebook ads, those type of things, and they partnered up us with like a nonprofit, and they gave us $10,000 a month to run ads for them.
Oh,
And at that time, I was like, wow, like okay, let's try this. So I was like the lead for the team, and then started running the ads, playing around with it, doing studies on it, and like researching like, oh, how do I run Google Ads? Then like after like a month or two of running it, it was like a project. We got the nonprofit like $5,000 in donation, and I was like, whoa, this is like pretty powerful. Like
yeah, you're
this could,
something.
yeah, I was like, this could easily scale something like super easily. And like I was thinking like after college what I would do. I'm like, oh, okay. I think after college, I probably I'm gonna get experience in learning ads, and then eventually I'm gonna use that to scale and grow my own agency eventually.
Yeah, 100%. I didn't know you were an Amazon seller. That's really interesting. I had an Amazon store too.
Yeah, I still am
Like,
actually. Yeah.
yeah, no, I was actually chatting to, I think actually it was Isaiah, for anyone who doesn't know, was Carl's business partner. We were kind of talking about how you kind of go through the business models where it's drop shipping or Amazon or trading, whatever it is, and then you seem to end up at SMMA, the agency model. But like, yeah, that's a good, I guess, segue into the next question. What about SMMA attracted you, or what about the agency model was it that you liked?
Yeah, I think it was mainly because one, it was monthly recurring revenue, right? It was like sustainable. Obviously, like now in the beginning, I was like, oh yeah, it's super easy, right? I just run ads for them, all that. But now, like after starting it, there is more things to it. But definitely, like compared to my corporate job, I feel more fulfilled doing it than like working for a corporate and just getting like a paycheck every week.
Yeah, no, it for sure beats that corporate slavery role. I think for me, when I was first getting into the agency model, I liked that you actually had to craft skills and that you couldn't really fluke, growing a successful agency. You couldn't really fluke growing, an agency with maybe you can get one or two clients on the fly, but to actually grow a significant agency, especially to the level that you guys are at and the initial success I had with my agency, you have to be good at sales, you have to be good at service delivery, you have to be good at outreach, you have to be good at managing a team. And there's just so many different facets of growing an agency. It builds like so many different skill sets that you can leverage in your agency, but you can pretty much leverage in every area of life and entrepreneurship. And that's particularly what attracted me to the agency model because unlike drop shipping or even Amazon, where you're kind of relying on a product or the algorithm to kind of like grow your business, very much the cards and the ball is in your court with SMMA,
Mhm.
and very much like what you put into it, you will get out, and you'll build lifelong skill sets along the way.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, and definitely like when you have clients, like you feel like, oh, you have to like provide and like get them good results. Because like if they get good results, you also feel happy about it too. And that's something like I love to see like helping these like small businesses grow too. Because like if they make money, they're happy. It makes me happy because I know like my skill set's working and it's like actually bringing them something.
Yeah, 100%. That's actually a great point. It's a win-win. Like as a marketer or as an agency owner, it's quite literally our job to grow companies, get them sales, get them revenue, get them customers, and we're paid to do that. So, it's very much a win-win, and I think that's a very, very fulfilling part of running an agency.
Mhm.
You're growing and you're like changing other people's lives in forms of growing their business and really, really bringing a ton of value. Again, I keep going back to the example of like drop shipping or something. There's not that same sense of fulfillment or growth because it's just numbers on a screen. It's just, you're trying to jump on the next best product. And
Yeah.
whereas with marketing, there is a lot of pros. The pros massively outweigh the cons, in my opinion. And I think in terms of fulfillment, in terms of like the skills you're leveraging, and in terms of how quickly you can grow. And we're going to get into obviously now the numbers that you guys are hitting, which are obviously pretty exciting now. But like the numbers you can hit in the agency model in like such a short period of time are incredible. I hope you're enjoying this student interview so far, and if these results have got you pumped to scale your own agency, I've got something very special for you. Below this video, you'll see a link where you can book a call for my one-to-one mentorship program. Inside, I'm guaranteeing you your first 5 clients on your agency journey. I can do this because I've crafted systems and strategies that I know work after coaching hundreds of other agency owners in your position to 10, 20, and even 30K per month. I only coach 10 people per month as it's all one-to-one and super custom. So if this sounds of interest, click the link below and book a call. Now back to the interview.
Me and Isaiah started last year. We definitely like we bought a course. We met each other. We were like accountability partners, and we didn't know what we were doing, honestly. We were just like, you know what? We're just gonna hire off the bat, hire salespeople off the bat. And so we kind of struggled a bit. We were putting money in, and we were just like, oh, okay. That time I was still working. And I was like, okay, let's hire salespeople. Let's get this going. We're hiring people out, but then we didn't understand the process of it, the back end process of it. We didn't build the foundation for it.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't learn about that till like later on, like this year, or where we like, all right, we got to do everything ourselves first before we hire it out. Because otherwise, if we don't understand it, how are they gonna understand it?
100%, 100%. If you hire something out that you haven't done, or even that you haven't done to a certain standard or a certain level, how are you going to manage someone else doing it if you don't even know what a good job looks like? It's going to be incredibly difficult. You haven't even validated, or there's no proof of concept that it even works in the first place. So that's a huge issue with agency owners. They want to hire too quickly and they want to kind of run before they've even walked or crawled. And it leads to huge bottlenecks, it leads to huge quality issues. And I think that's a really, really good point. So before we started with Agency Accelerator, before you came into the program, before we even met, what were your biggest bottlenecks or pain points or weaknesses?
One of the biggest thing was we got a client and they would churn in like a month or two or like 3 months because they were like, oh, we weren't seeing results. But they were also smaller clients. They were only paying like $100 a month or
Right.
two, three
Okay.
hundred dollars. Super, super small. But then they had a lot of ask, like they wanted results fast, like in a day. But we're like, it takes time. It doesn't come that fast. And then the other one was like having a sales team, but we weren't getting any results from it, but we kept on paying them. And that was like we've later found out like expense hiring people out is one of like the biggest expense you'll get in an agency, definitely. But those were like the main bottlenecks we were finding, like especially like getting results for them too.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think like we just touched on it earlier, like hiring too soon, it's a huge, huge pain point. And even when you are ready to hire, like you guys are coming up now to a stage where you have enough money coming in and you're so busy that you need to outsource. Like that's how it should be. Like you should be outsourcing when you're so busy you can't literally do any more yourself. Even when you get to that stage, like like that's just like another bottleneck, finding the right talent, hiring the right talent, having the right SOPs, having the right resources for them to come into the company and do a good job is a whole different ballgame as well. So I think for me, like churn is something that isn't talked about enough in the agency space. Like people don't like to talk about churn because it's not sexy, it's not cool, and it's like, okay, well, actually getting the client in is hard, but it's even harder to get them to stay and get them good results. And I think that's what people forget about. They put service delivery, you know, way, way down the pecking order in terms of priorities when it should be probably first or second in terms of priorities. So I think that's a
Yeah.
really, really good point.
I
And
mean, that's how you get your clients to stay, right? Stay with you. They're happy with the results. They want to keep working with you. Otherwise, they're just gonna leave. They're like, why am I paying you money for something to not work, right? So
100%, 100%. You got to have value first. And I think people are really concerned with making money themselves and getting to 10K per month, getting to 20K per month. They forget that actually, your job is to make your client money. It's forgotten about that actually, okay, we need to make the client money. It's great that we're getting paid, but in the end, you would want to keep a client around for as long as possible. If you're going to constantly churning client, you're going to have to be dialed in on the outreach side of things because you're going to have to keep refilling your bucket, which obviously is going to be a complete pain in the long
uh,
run. So I
you're
think that's
refilling
a
your bucket, but there's a hole at the bottom, so it's just dumping out. It's just coming out.
yeah,
There's
you're
not.
going to be constantly leaking and you're going to have to be constantly grinding with that outreach. Whereas if you just put the time in to really, really prioritize your client's results and lead with value first, not only are you going to keep that client, but they're going to refer you someone else. You can upsell them onto another service. They're going to give you a killer testimonial. There's just so much benefits to putting the client first, putting value first, that it's
Yeah.
just something that people need to prioritize. And I don't know why they don't. So I think that's a really, really good point. And like just on that, tell us a little bit about your niche and why you went for that niche.
Yeah, we pretty much work for like contractors, roofers, that type of niche. The main reason was when I first started, I wasn't sure what to do. So I went to like med spas. Like I was just trying to find like whatever was working on YouTube and just like following in that.
The classic route.
Yeah, yeah. But then after I partnered up with like Isaiah, since he had more experience there, it was a lot easier for him to sell to contractors in that space since he was a third generation contractor. Because of that, when we worked together, he was like, let's focus on this. This is what I'm best at. This is where I know what I'm talking about the most. So we focus on that. And that's how we started growing from our clientele because of that.
Yeah, I think that's massively important. And that's definitely how my thought process works with the niche. Like, that's probably the most common question I get asked all the time. Is this a good niche? Is this a bad niche? Will this niche work? And ultimately,
Every niche
every
is
single
different.
niche you choose will
Yeah.
have hundreds, if not thousands, of other agency owners already in that niche. Like, whatever niche you choose, there's not going to be some secret magic niche that's just going to be completely untapped. So how do you separate yourself from the crowd? How do you separate yourself from the masses? Well, the first thing you can do, the simplest thing you can do is choose a niche you have some knowledge in, choose a niche you have some expertise in, like something that,
Something you love,
Isaiah,
right? Or passionate about. Because
yeah,
like that.
something like Isaiah had just happened to be a third generation contractor, but it doesn't have to be that. Like your brother could be whatever, a dentist, your uncle could be a roofer, whatever it may be. Choose something you have some knowledge in, and that's going to give you so much confidence. It's going to give you so much conviction. It's going to give you foundational expertise to work off. Because if you don't have that, then there's just no way you're going to have confidence speaking to a business owner because you're not going to know the terms, you're not going to know the buzzwords, you're not going to know things about their industry that you would otherwise know if you chose something you have knowledge in. So I think that is literally like the first thing you can do as an agency owner to give you a step up on the competition.
Yeah. And originally I didn't know anything about contracting. I was like, what? They use hammers, sidings? What is all this? Roofers? They metal roofs? And I was so confused. But then after a while, like after you get into it more and more, you're like, oh, okay, this is what they use for terms. This is what they use for, yeah, for the lingo and all that. And I was like, oh, okay, okay. Then you start learning it. But I feel like regardless what niche you go, if you stick with it long enough and you like learn the terms and like do some research on it, you're gonna have an advantage like at the end.
Yeah. Well, that's actually a really good point because a lot of people like after I've just said that, they'll say to me, there's nothing. I don't have I don't have any knowledge in anything.
Not
Well,
working. Not working.
fortunately,
Yeah.
fortunately, with YouTube, Google, ChatGPT, there has literally never been a better time to, if you're not good at something, if you don't have a level of knowledge in something, you can get good, you can get knowledgeable very, very quickly. Like ChatGPT is basically a full-time researcher for anyone who knows how to leverage it. Like you can get good and you can get knowledgeable on a niche literally in a matter of days, literally in a matter of weeks using the AI and the softwares out there. So right
Yeah.
now, there's never been I don't want to say an easier time, but there's never been a better time to really get up to speed with what's working well in a niche and just learning fundamentals in and around it. So yeah, I completely agree. So we'll get into the juicy stuff, the secret sauce everybody watching will want to know, clients, monthly revenue. So how long did it take you to land that first client? Tell us a little bit about that.
So when we started last year, January. It- I think we landed our first client like maybe 3 or 6 months in. Um, and and they left us just as fast, like probably like month or two. So it was like a lot of on and off. But we learned a lot from our first client. We were like, okay, communication is very important. Clients like to be assured that, oh, you're working on something. Yeah, you're even though if it doesn't bring results, you let them know that it's not working. What's your current update for this week? Monthly updates. Communication was super important. That's something that we learned and took it to every single client that we have going forward. And also like results, right? So like those are the two main things we learned from our first clients. So even though he left us like maybe after a month or two, we didn't take that as like a defeat. We were like, okay, okay, now we know how to make our clients happy right off the bat, what they want, what they really need, and put yourself in their shoes, and you really understand like, oh, okay, if I was to pay someone money, I would expect the same thing, type of thing.
Yeah, 100%. And tell me a little bit more about like the pain those first 3 to 6 months, struggling to get your first couple of clients, like kind of where your mental state was at. And like, did you always trust the process? Were you ever close to calling it quits? Tell us a little bit more about that first 3 to 6
Oh,
months.
yeah, yeah. So since we're putting money every week for to our sales team, there was many times like, why is it so expensive? Why am I putting like 300-400 bucks every week? Like both of us each were putting that much into the salesperson. They're not bringing us results. Like, and there was time I was like, should I just stick with my full-time job? Like for now, like what is this? Like I'm putting like a lot of my paycheck into this. This is like not normal. Yeah, there were like many times where I wanted to quit. Like the agency, I was just like, this isn't working. This is a scam. I just fell into the lap of another guru that I bought, and
Yeah.
like it's not gonna work. Um, but like then you realize like, okay, like Isaiah's working, like my partner, he's working just as hard to look for clients. Um, and that's when I'm like, okay, we gotta work with one another to see what's the bottleneck of each other. Like, what are you struggling with, like right now? What part of the process of cold calling you're struggling with to get that client? Is it like the first initial call? Or are we not getting numbers? Um, are they hanging up, like talking to us and then hanging up? Is it because we don't have a strong enough hook when we talk to them? There's like many like nuances step by step on the sales call process that we're like, okay, we got to fix this. Oh, we got to make this hook better. We got to make sound more personable, right, with them. There's just like a lot of little things, and that's something like we learned a lot, especially when we were trying to get our client.
100%, 100%. And then tell me about that feeling. Like, so the first client comes in and then churns, and then obviously you come into the program, you start learning systems. Isaiah starts getting dialed in on the outreach side of things. Your service delivery is getting sharpened. Tell me about like when the first, 3, 4, 5 clients come in, you start to make some significant money, and you start to realize, oh, like we can actually make this work.
Yeah. So after we worked with you, right? Okay, before that happened, I was like on my last straw actually. I was like, oh man, like I don't know if this is actually gonna work. I was like, and then I found you, Dylan, and I was like, oh, okay. I told Isaiah like, let's just go all in on this. Like, yes, like we don't have much, but I think we should give it a try and go on and learn from someone instead of like trying to find our own way through and make so many mistakes. There's no point. Having a mentor would definitely help us alleviate like a lot of the pain that we're struggling with and put us on the right path. And then once that he agreed, and then we were like, okay, let's do this. So we went all in. We're like, okay, next 3 month monk mode. We're grinding. We're going straight
Love it.
in. Then we started picking up clients. Like literally like 2 weeks to a month in to the program, and we're like, whoa, okay, okay, we're getting traction. We're growing. We're steady. And then
The
yeah, the momentum's coming in really fast. They're like coming in like every week, pretty much. Or like we closed 2 clients in a week, 3 clients in a week, right? And then we were like, okay, great, like. we were like, oh my God, we have actually have money in the bank. We're not actually putting more money into the bank account. We could use that now to like grow. And then
Yeah.
clients were like happy. We were like, okay, we got to satisfy these clients. Like, what can we do to make sure they're like up to date? So we like implemented everything we learned from the past. And then just like we're like, all right, let's get them results. And then eventually that worked out. We were super happy. Like, yeah, like we were just like, oh, no, we could actually finally start making money, not putting money in.
Yeah, which is a perfect segue into the next question. And I believe this has just been your most recent month. Like after all that hard work, all that consistency, and having your mindset dialed in to stick with it, what has your best month been to date?
It was probably last month. We were closing like we were upping our budget. So in the beginning, like we were charging clients a lot less, like 300, 500, right? Because we were like, oh, we're not sure we're gonna do good. But now that we have a footing, we know we bring good results. We've been charging our clients like $1,500 a month and just increasing it. So we were closing one or two clients almost every week uh in September, and pretty much that has been our best month to grow like to where we are currently at around 12K right now.
That's incredible. That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. So last month was your best month at about 12K MRR.
Yep.
Really cool. Really cool. I said that to Isaiah as well. Like if you think about if you took the corporate route to get to 12K per month, like how long that would take, like 20 years maybe, if you're lucky, if you ever get to it, like you guys were able to accomplish that. Like, probably you've been working on your agency for 12 months, but really like the last 6 months, like when you come into the program, we started working one-on-one is really when everything started to take off and everything started to click. And it's just insane. Like in 6 months to get to that kind of numbers, and like you guys have really done it the right way. You've really put in the work. You've put in you've really hustled hard and you've built it the right way. And the beauty of that is like a lot of these clients are going to stick with you. And you've built it the right way where you've got good quality clients, you've got good relationships with these clients, and they're going to stick with you. And you're constantly upselling and getting referrals, and it's just really cool to see. And it's cool to see when when you're working with someone who's genuinely put in the work that they get the results. So I think that's really cool, really incredible results, and it's a testament to the work you guys have been putting in.
Yeah, definitely. And like, don't get me wrong, it was not easy. This was like it was super hard. Like we were putting like a lot of hours, like even weekends, like late at nights into this. Like we're like making sure we just want to make sure everything worked out well, like have all the systems in place, before we're like, okay, before we like really grow this, like we're like, all right, now what's our next goal? What's our next goal? Or
100%.
what's
Well, look, no one sets a successful agency in your lap,
Mhm.
which unfortunately I think that's the perception that a lot of people coming into SMMA have. No one's just going to set a successful company in your lap. Like you got to work. When I started my agency, I was working a corporate 9 to 5. I just graduated college. I was working 3 hours before I started work, and I was working 3 or 4 hours after I finished work, which was like till 11
Yeah.
o'clock at night. Like that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. But that's what makes the wins. That's what makes the success so fulfilling, because you've put in the work. You have put in the hours, and you've sharpened your axe, and you've crafted your skills, and you have worked, and you've built this, and this is yours. That's what makes it much better and much more fulfilling, in my opinion. But yeah, I completely agree. Like it does take hard work. But the beauty of this model is, in my opinion, like if you are consistent, if you get up every single day and you show up and you put in the work, you will book meetings and you will land clients if you show up every single day. Like
Yeah.
it's just about staying consistent and it's just about showing up.
Yeah, no, I totally agree 100%.
Just on that, like what would you say was the most important thing that, let's say, beginning agency owners need to focus on? If you are speaking to someone watching this right now, they're a beginning agency owner, they're maybe a little bit overwhelmed, they're maybe a little bit lost. What's one key or even two key things you would say focus on to really move the needle?
I think doing one, like you mentioned before, showing up every day, even though like if you don't get much done that day, at least you showed up and finished like something. If doing like 1% a day, it compounds over time, right? You can't expect to finish all of this in one day, right? That's not feasibly possible for every single task, right? So showing up, working on little by little, it's gonna compound over and over and over time. And even like if you make mistakes, you learn from it, right? And you know that going forward, okay, I don't want to do this. That's gonna lead to this. I'm gonna mess up. It's not gonna do anything, not gonna get any results. So honestly, one, showing up, and two, communication is super important. Like we have a text group message with all our clients, and we're always on top of it. Like the moment they like ask a question, reply. We always reply within like 5 to 10 minutes. And if I don't reply, Isaiah would reply, right? So we have each other's back in case like one of us is busy, one of so something I realized like is pretty important, especially talk because like the clients once they know that you respond to them, they feel a lot happier. They feel like safer, like, oh, my money's in good hands, you know?
100%. Communication is massively important. And especially in your niche, the contractor niche, where these guys don't really know a lot about Facebook ads or service delivery or any of this. Like to them, that's like very high tech stuff. So
They don't even
you
know
got to
how to
keep
use their
them.
phones a lot of times. They don't know how to use their phone. They're like, oh, how do I text this? How do I upload a photo? So a lot
Yeah,
of them are just like, yeah, they're just good at what they're good at, their craft, right? In construction and
yeah.
stuff. That's what we tell them, like, hey, that's what we're the experts here. We got you. You're in good hands.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah, no, I completely agree. So then, like going back to the community, going back to the program, Agency Accelerator, what were, say, your favorite aspects of it, or what did you put the most value on? Maybe was it the community? Was it the accountability? Was just having someone as simple as having someone to bounce things off? What did you find most valuable from being in the community?
Yeah, I think the most valuable of the community was honestly like talk like posting on in the chat, right? Or posting in the community about like, oh, uh, we got a client today, like seeing other people's wins, seeing other what people were stuck on and helping one another. That aspect of it was really cool. Like where like someone was like, oh, how what's the process for this? Like what niche should I go into? Or like they had really like starter questions, but then a lot of community members came in to like, oh, this is what you should like not telling them what they should do or what they shouldn't do, but they give them like tips. And that really helped us, especially when we were growing. And then also like the weekly calls with like Sophia, like or and Jackson learning about like sales, learning about like go high level, like how to use like these software, like really helped us like and just showing up every week to them, talking to them, getting to know them. Like we le learned a lot from it, honestly, and how to implement it into our own like agencies.
100%, 100%. And, you can tell, when someone comes into something like this or a program or community and, they're committing to all aspects. They're not just committing to growing their agency, but they're helping other people and they're engaging in the community and they're posting and they're giving value on the coaching calls. If you're going all in and you're committing to every aspect of it, it'll just seep into everything. You want to do your outreach and you want to do your sales and you want to engage in the community and you want to have everything absolutely dialed in. And if you do that, it's going to pay you dividends massively. And I can always tell the people that come into the community are going to do so, so well because they just commit to everything. And that's what you guys did. Like you give value to everybody in the community and you absolutely killed it with your own agency. And yeah, it's been a really, really great journey and it's been a pleasure to be a part of it. So I guess the final question we'll finish on is if anyone's watching this and they're struggling with their agency, they're struggling to land their first three, four, five clients and they're feeling overwhelmed with all of the information out there on YouTube, and they're maybe considering joining Agency Accelerator or the community, what advice would you give them or what would you say to that person?
I guess the main advice, I guess pretty tacky. Everyone would say that don't give up, right? Keep going at it. Like it's gonna work out like eventually. Like there's always gonna be a light at the end of the tunnel. You're just gonna but you have to put in the work. If you don't put in the work, nothing's gonna come to you, right? And like being like a community, an agency accelerator, like with everyone there also trying to grow their agency, you feel like connected and you have one another to like teach you what things and everything. And you have Dylan, like he's going his agency, like he know what he's doing, right? So he's everyone's there to help you. So definitely like even if things aren't looking that good, as long as you keep showing up, keep putting in the work, it's gonna get it, you're gonna get there one day, and once it does, it's gonna go parabolic and you'll scale.
Love it, brother. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Entrepreneurship, it can be a lonely journey. It can be a lonely journey. There's nobody there to support. There's nobody there to help you. There's nobody there standing over you, making sure you're doing the work, giving you that accountability. And that's what a community can give you, a community of like-minded individuals on the same path as you, striving to grow their agency, striving to grow their online business can. It can make that difference. I 100% agree. But really, really appreciate your time. That was a ton of fun, Carl. I really, really appreciate you hopping on. And thanks again for doing this, man.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
I hope you all really enjoyed that student interview. It was a ton of fun to film. If you're currently scaling your own agency and struggling to land your first 5 to 10 clients, I still have a few slots open in my one-to-one mentorship program for this month. Inside, I'm guaranteeing you your first 5 agency clients, and the results we've been getting have been absolutely insane. So if this sounds of interest to you, click on the link below this video and book in a call. I look forward to speaking to you.